Most people searching for affordable places to live in North Carolina are looking in the wrong cities entirely. I've been living here for 18 years, and today I've ranked the top 6 most affordable cities in the state for 2026. And number 1 beats every city on the list in value, lifestyle, and long-term upside at the same time. If you're serious about making a move to North Carolina, this is the video to watch first. Number 6, Hickory. See, most people searching for affordable North Carolina cities walk right past the one that delivers the best lifestyle per dollar on the entire list, and the city is Hickory. I know you might be thinking, Hickory? Where's that? Well, that reaction is exactly why it's here. This is a sneaky little city, and most people outside of North Carolina have no idea. It's actually kind of cool. Hickory sits in the western Piedmont, right at the edge of the foothills. Think of it this way. If you've ever looked at Asheville or Boone and thought, I love the vibe, but I can't afford it, Hickory might be your answer. You're close to enough of the feel of the mountain energy, and you get real access to the Blue Ridge foothills lifestyle, but you're paying a fraction of what Asheville demands right now. Downtown Hickory has this walkable local business energy that's genuinely pretty impossible to find at this price point. Breweries, restaurants, regular events, night spots. It's a real downtown. I promise it. It's not a ghost town, not a strip mall, an actually charming urban core that locals are proud of. And when we get to the top 2 cities on the list, you'll see something interesting. They have prices similar to Hickory, but they also have stronger institutions and more city growth most people expect. Stay with me. But there's still more to see in Hickory. Here's what's important when it comes to jobs. Hickory sits in the Hickory-Lenoir-Morganton metro, which has deep roots in the furniture and manufacturing industries. But the job base has diversified into healthcare, services, and logistics over time. If you work remotely or hybrid, well, this is perhaps a no-brainer location. And if you need to commute, you've got a reasonable highway access towards Charlotte or Asheville, depending on where your work might take you. Cost of living here generally sits below national averages across the board. Groceries, utilities, services, it all stays pretty manageable. And that affordability shows up directly in the housing numbers. Based on current data, most single-family homes in Hickory fall in the mid to high 200s. Come on. That is a steal, right? You can still find older bungalows and ranch-style homes dipping under that in certain neighborhoods, and you'll get far more square footage and lot size than you would in a similar price range closer to Charlotte or Raleigh, that's for darn sure. The combination of mountain-adjacent lifestyle, real downtown, mid-2s entry point is what makes Hickory the sneaky pick on this list. Hickory is best for remote workers, first-time buyers, and anyone chasing that near-mountain lifestyle without Asheville prices to match. But if being inside one of the strongest job markets in the state matters in your decision, our next city makes a very different kind of case. By this point, you're probably asking yourself, does this guy really know what he's talking about? Yes, I promise I do. I work with buyers relocating to North Carolina every single day, and finding the right city is always step 1 before we ever look at a single listing. So if you want to make a move into any of the cities we discussed today, my contact information is in the description below. I'd love to help. Reach out anytime. All right, enough selling, back to the video. Number 5, Durham. Now here's something most people get backwards about Durham. They assume that because it's inside the Research Triangle, it's priced like it. It's not, at least not yet. Durham is your most affordable way into one of the strongest job markets in the entire Southeast. If you want Triangle access, a food scene people actually drive to from other cities, genuine urban energy, and a price point that doesn't require a spreadsheet to justify, Durham might be your move. The city has this mix of historic neighborhoods and new development that gives it real character. There's a genuine urban core here, walkable areas, local restaurants, arts and culture. It feels alive in a way that a lot of similarly priced cities just don't. And the job access is the biggest differentiator. You're sitting inside the Research Triangle, surrounded by some of the strongest employments in the entire state: universities, hospitals, biotech, tech companies, research institutions. That's not true of the other 5 cities on this list. And for the right buyer, it's worth serious consideration. When it comes to the commute, A lot of people work right in Durham itself. Others are on I-40 or North Carolina 147 heading into Research Triangle Park, Raleigh, or perhaps Chapel Hill. And it's manageable, not Winston-Salem manageable, but manageable for a triangle city. Now, the cost of living in Durham is higher than Hickory or Burlington. Let's be straight about that. But compared to Chapel Hill or Cary, which are right next door, literally, it stays noticeably more reasonable day to day. Right now, typical single-family homes in Durham tend to fall in the mid to upper 3s/low 4s, with older or smaller homes dipping into the low 3s and newer construction tipping upper 4s and 5s and beyond. Still noticeably more attainable than Chapel Hill or Cary at comparable quality, and that's the entire value argument here. Durham is the most affordable triangle foothold, and for the right buyer, that is an enormous advantage. Now, if you're that mid to high 3s range and still feeling like that's a stretch, our next city pulls off something geographically clever that makes it one of the most practical budget moves on the entire list. Number 4, Burlington. Burlington is the city this list is almost required to include because almost nobody considers it and almost nobody should be ignoring it. The reason comes down to one thing: geography. Burlington sits almost perfectly in the center of the state, right on I-40 and I-85, roughly halfway between Greensboro and Durham. What that means practically is you can aim your commute in multiple directions. Triad jobs, triangle jobs, both are incredibly accessible. That's a rare setup for a city at this price point, and it's genuinely underappreciated advantage for buyers whose careers, frankly, could go either way. The city itself has a quieter, small-town feel. Parks, recreation, family-friendly amenities. It's not going to win awards for its nightlife. And the downtown isn't the entertainment draw that you'd find in some of the other cities on this list. But if you need a calm, affordable base with maximum commute flexibility, well, this is a pretty compelling option that flies under the radar. And the one we're covering at number 1 has been building an economic story that most people outside of North Carolina have completely missed. So stick around. But back to Burlington, the cost of living is one of the most modest setups in central North Carolina. Everyday expenses and day-to-day spending tend to run below what you'd see in the Triangle. And that's why Burlington consistently shows up when people are hunting for budget-friendly spots with regional access. Typical single-family homes in Burlington tend to fall in the low to mid 2s, noticeably lower than Durham and even lower than Greensboro and Winston. You can still find older or smaller homes under that in certain neighborhoods, and newer builds, well, they might push that upper range. If you need triangle or triad job access without paying those metro prices to live there, Burlington is worth a serious look. It's one of the most practical moves on this entire list. Just don't expect it to wow you on a Friday night. Our next city has a bit more going on in that department, and the price still makes the budget crowd happy. Number 3, High Point. The furniture capital of the world. That's High Point's identity. And it's also the reason most people underestimate it as a place to actually live. High Point is part of the triad alongside Winston-Salem and Greensboro. It is the third, sitting right in the middle of the region with solid freeway access in every direction. From a job standpoint, that triad ecosystem is essential. Manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, education, and professional services are all well represented, and living in High Point puts you in reach of the full regional job market without a brutal commute in any direction. The city has more of a practical, workhorse feel than the others around it. There's no buzzy downtown or entertainment scene. It's not going to be the arts and culture destination, perhaps, yet. Solid amenities, established neighborhoods, good services, and a cost of living that tracks closely with the triad average, which is already well below the national standards. Most single-family homes in High Point fall in the low 2s to mid 3s, with some neighborhoods still offering options in the high 1s and newer builds creeping into the 3s and above. For the square footage and the lot size you can get, and those numbers inside a well-connected metro, the value is there. Just keep in mind the more practical lifestyle that they have to offer here. See, High Point is for the buyer who wants triad access and more home per dollar than Durham or the Raleigh suburbs without needing a vibrant downtown to feel good about the decision. If that downtown energy does matter to you though, our next two cities start delivering it, and the pricing still won't make you flinch. Number 2, Greensboro. Here's what surprises people about Greensboro. It's the largest city in the Triad, it has a real downtown, and it's still affordable by almost any reasonable measure. That combination is harder to find across North Carolina than most people realize. Greensboro brings a level of urban energy that High Point simply doesn't have, a growing arts scene, restaurants, bars, live music, multiple universities that keep the city feeling young and active. It works as a mid-sized city operating at that level, which sounds obvious, but is a genuinely rare thing at this price point. Job diversity is one of Greensboro's strongest arguments. The Greensboro High Point Metro has a wide mix of manufacturing, logistics, higher education, healthcare, and professional services. A diversified employment base that isn't reliant on any single sector. That kind of stability is important when you're making a long-term decision about where to perhaps put down roots. Freeway access here is excellent. I-40 east toward the Triangle, west towards Winston, I-85 south towards Charlotte. And Piedmont Triad International Airport sits right in the metro. Shorter security lines, super easy parking, and direct connectivity to major metro hubs without the chaos of Charlotte Douglas International Airport or Raleigh-Durham's airport. Cost of living in Greensboro generally stays below the coastal big city standards. You will pay a bit more than Burlington or Hickory, but you're getting a lot more city for that premium. And it still doesn't feel punishing compared to Charlotte or Raleigh at all. Homes in Greensboro tend to run from the mid-2s, averaging out in the low 3s, with more desirable neighborhoods and newer construction often pushing the 4s and above. That range still makes strong sense relative to what the city really delivers. Greensboro earns its spot here without question. But if you want everything this city offers, the urban energy, the job diversity, the economic stability, and then some at a price that looks almost identical on paper, well, the answer is just 30 minutes west. Number 1, Winston-Salem. 30 minutes west of Greensboro, home prices are still sitting in that same mid-2s to mid-3s range, averaging in the low 3s. And look, I'm a real estate agent in Winston-Salem, so I want to be upfront about that. The reason I'm here is the same reason this city earns number 1 on the list. The value is real. The numbers back it up. When I moved here, downtown was pretty much 2 streets, 4th and Trade. Foothills Brewery was the only attraction, and that was almost 2 decades ago. It's a completely different place now. That's why I'm still here. And I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I got an 8-year-old. Until she goes off to college, I promise you, I'm here. I'll probably be here the rest of my life. The Innovation Quarter alone has grown into over 330 acres of biomedical research, tech offices, startups, and mixed-use development. There's a multi-billion-dollar transformation happening right inside the city, and it's still going. So phase 2 is adding another 1 million square feet of clinical office and lab space, plus 15 acres of newer and additional green space. And there's a lot of green space downtown, I promise. This is a city still building momentum. Plus, you've got a genuine downtown with nationally recognized art scene, over 100 dining options, 5 solid local breweries, and a walkable urban core that most comparably priced cities can only gesture toward. Winston-Salem is called the City of Arts and Innovation for a reason. And locals actually feel that identity. It's not just a tagline, and the institutional depth here is something you just won't find in the other 5 cities on the list. Wake Forest University is a top 30 private research university. UNCSA is a nationally recognized public arts conservatory. Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center is the only Level 1 trauma center in the Northwest North Carolina area, with an NCI-designated comprehensive cancer center on campus. These are some huge institutions that anchor both the job market and the quality of life in ways that are just impossible to replicate. The employment base reflects that. Winston-Salem has a diverse, growing mix of healthcare, education, financial services, and expanding tech and life sciences sector anchored by the innovation quarter. And the metro job growth has outpaced the regional average, and the development pipeline has billions in active investment working through the systems right now. Commute times average 10 to tops 20 minutes. Honestly, most people will tell you it's no longer than 15. That is crazy different from Charlotte or Raleigh, and something you feel in your daily life in a way that's hard to quantify but impossible to ignore. Cost of living here stays in line with the triad average and runs below the national norms overall. But the real argument is what you get for that cost. The arts, the food scene, the history, the walkable downtown, Pilot Mountain State Park just 25 minutes out, the Blue Ridge Parkway about an hour away. The quality of life relative to the price, that's the reason why it's number one. And you can find single-family homes in Winston-Salem in the mid-2s, with some neighborhoods still offering options in the low 2s and others closer downtown and newer developments stretching 3s and 4s and beyond. You're often paying Hickory or Burlington style prices for a city that delivers closer to Greensboro or even scaled down Raleigh or Charlotte in terms of what it actually offers. See, that's the argument for number one. Not just that it's affordable. Several cities on this list offer incredibly affordable options. It's that it's affordable for what it is. The value to quality ratio here is the best on the list, and people, they're figuring it out. Buyers are moving here from Charlotte or Raleigh from all over the Southeast, specifically because they ran the numbers and they realized Winston-Salem makes sense in a way that maybe the bigger markets just don't anymore. Here's the deal. The right city isn't the cheapest one. It's the one where the price, the lifestyle, and your long-term goals line up. If you're ready to get serious about moving to North Carolina and want to know exactly which one of these markets fits your budget and timeline and really lifestyle, shoot me an email at blake@theginthergroup.com today. And if Winston-Salem is on the radar, I've linked a video here covering 15 things you need to know before moving here. It's the honest picture that makes a decision like this a lot easier to make. Thank you for watching sincerely, and I hope to see you on the next one.